Yeah, something like a PL or a Naga Siren with a Diffusal could work on the Medusa, but then, as you said, you are looking at a much later window to work with. And now, interesting with the third pick from the Felt side. Not that I don't like the Abaddon, but it is a little bit disappointing. I assume that's going to be Pingu on that hero, which means he's going to do well. He's going to have that defensive capability, but what we saw earlier on in this event, Pingu was put on maybe some heroes with a little bit more in the way of sort of playmaking ability, like that Treant Protector that we saw from him. That's not really going to be an option this time around.
Yeah, and it's also where they do pick it, and I think arguably the only position that they could pick it, being at the beginning of the phase, but at the same time, there isn't that reason for the Abaddon just yet. I think you could maybe argue that it dissuades perhaps the Mollyburgos Murana, just because they certainly want a Yule's carrier against the Axe, but I mean, this is their draft. The only hero they're missing is Necro. They picked the IO Tusk. It's really tit for tat on the
Okay.
Mystery Machine side. But Huskar, that's a good choice. I like that a lot. I think that's going to really make that offlane struggle now. And there are no offlaners. It's what felt completely focused on in that second phase. It's going to feel, I think, now for Tib, he's really going to struggle to find his hero. But they do need to ban the Necro. It felt
Right.
somehow missed that Necro ban. It's over. But I think they're going to get it.
That would be just straight terrible to let that Necro through. And that was the thing for Mystery Machine. They were running Tib on that hero, not just because they liked it, just because it was sort of annoying, but it always had one or two specific targets for that Reaper Scythe specifically. So Felt have now just given them that exact target, right? Even if you don't kill the Huskar with the Scythe, locking him down in the middle of a team fight would certainly be big. So if you're Felt, as you said, you can't mess up this one. You've got to ban that hero out. But now, you mentioned for the IO pick, you don't really like to lane it with the Dusa. Well, now you've got some more options, right? They can run it with whatever their offlaner is. You could pair up with Tusk for a rotation, and Tusk with Overcharge is a little tough to deal with early on for a lot of these heroes.
Yeah, and really, I mean, we've seen it come out in that first phase so many times already in this tournament for a very good reason. It strengthens your mid lane, it strengthens your side lane so much. I do think it still is going to have that issue of finding the right time level wise that we always talk about because you want to leave the Medusa alone. You want him to get level 7, level 8 really quickly so he can just jungle as fast as humanly possible. And at the same time, right now, Mystery Machine, they don't really have the best wave clear, I want to say. When it comes to getting on top of these towers, if we see Felt pick up another dog pile hero in their mid laner, I think the Puck would have been a pretty cool choice, even though it's kind of damage limited versus the Medusa. That would have been your third hero around that 10-minute mark to just flood onto the tower. And I think that's really exactly what they need. They need someone who's just going to run in, get that numbers advantage early on. Yeah, Necroben
Okay.
comes out as it should be. And
That's a
that's a very
quick pick,
fast pick.
though. Whoa. Tusk 3?
That'd be cool. I mean, I
Hmm.
I feel like with Mystery Machine, I've only seen Juve play the AA. I mean, if they really want to do something weird, I mean, a core Ancient Apparition is certainly not out of the realm of possibility,
That
but
would
it
be something.
certainly feels weird. But no, I think it is more like we are going to see that Tusk of the position 3, slot the IO into 4 position, which is definitely going to feel better. And then you have that 5 support who is going to stack, who is going to sit in the jungle a little bit more, gives that soul lane over to the Medusa. Think honestly with this AA pick, even though there's still I want to say very stunless on the Mystery Machine side, it certainly feels like the plays are maybe going to be a little bit more difficult. They get a little bit of that balance back, which I think is important if they do lane Jubei on that AA.
Now for Felt. Well, okay, never mind. Not going to talk about it because they're already making the pick, and it will be the Ember, which could potentially be concerning. Not always the tankiest of heroes, so if you get clipped by something like the Ice Blast, then Shinra's going to have to play exceptionally carefully is what I was going to say, but actually they're going to switch things up a little bit. It'll be Shinra on the Huskar. Solji will be the one to play the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, and it is not the worst lane in the world. Of course, turn of the patch, everybody's talking about the Sleight of Fist being used to secure those range creeps. It's very hard to shut out an Ember from the lane, but I think really they go for it because Solji is just watering at the mouth, seeing this IO Ancient Apparition backline. They are a stunless support duo. They are going to need Tib in front, and Tib is not on the most ideal hero to be in front. And I think that's where Feld are going to do their damnedest to ignore Double King for the majority of the game. It really is going to be, I think, a game of cat and mouse where Shaggy is going to be initiating, trying to take as much aggression as possible because he really is the only one that very easily can start these fights. And then Double King comes in after the fact and tries to clean up because otherwise Feld are going to look for that ignore type play. They're going to try and cut you around. Feld's lineup is much better at taking Roche. They're much better at getting that early control, and I think that's a very scary time that Mr. Machine are going to have to deal with. Not to mention, there's that threat of the AA now. You are playing it versus the Abaddon versus the Huskar. If Shinra does get low, he doesn't have that get out jail free card that you otherwise would have, but there is also this timing again in that early mid game, 15, 20 minutes, where Mr. Machine need to be very careful. If Double King ever dies, it's the type of game where 2 or 3 deaths, suddenly the game's over. You don't have a map anymore.
Yeah, gonna be walking a fine line there. If the early pressure gets to them, they're kind of dead in the water. But, you know, if they can withstand that initial push, then you do have a Dusa. That's one of those sort of almost auto-win heroes if you're allowed to find the farm and the item timings. So, see if Mystery Machine can pull through long enough to make that happen as we do get things underway here. Game number 1 of our first best of 3. Again, as a reminder, this is the lower bracket final. Winner moves on to phase 2. The loser does end up getting eliminated, as we have, unfortunately, a little bit of a pause here at the start.
And it would be a shame to lose to one of these teams early on, you know, represent NA as much as you can. But I do also feel like, at least history wise, you know, you want to give the leg up to Felt. They're the ones in Division 1 this next season. You know, they're definitely the team making that transition from a Div 2 team really into kind of their own stride. But at the same time, you never know what's going to happen, especially with heroes getting in and through the meta like the Storm Spirit. I mean, the last 3 days of Dota, it's all you've heard about. It's all you've seen. Nobody really wants to ban it out either because it is a Storm Spirit at the end of the day. You feel like you can beat it. He can always just get stunned and die, but then you do a perfect Storm Spirit game here and there, and he just automatically wins the game for you. And that's what Shaggy kind of has to do.
And yeah, to your point, the Storm Spirit doesn't exactly have like a crazy high win rate. It's high enough, obviously, to justify this many picks, but it is still very much beatable unless you are playing it at that high level. So we shall see. Mentioned earlier on, you said Felt sort of might have the advantage on paper going into this one, 4-1 against Mystery Machine back in the pro circuit. However, the most recent matchup between these two squads was a 2-1 in Felt's favor. So, you know, Mystery Machine were able to put up a fight, and they can do just that little bit better here. Just be able to take this one as, oh, nifty play there, denies his own, denies his own ward, and gonna give up any gold, but you did still lose your ward. It's a bit unfortunate, but now we'll see if there's an actual engagement here, because Mystery Machine, look at them go. Just sort of swaggering their way into the river, looking to see if Felt are willing to actually challenge them.
And how many times have we seen that? A dire hero plays the ward, Radiant Sentry goes down, then they immediately try to kill their ward. It is the funniest hill, honestly, to fight over, but I think it goes to just how dark and how kind of on the lower side of the map this bottom area is, but I think we should just see them go 2 for 2, but everybody's running out these bounties.
Look at the damage Double King's taken. Well, he didn't scale up the shield, because really, why would you at level 1? But means that he cops quite a bit of damage, and he's going to burn through some of those tangos early on. So, Felt trying to get aggressive with those supports early. And speaking of which, look at Pingu. Just coming in, hacking away. Doesn't have a point up in the curse, so he wasn't really able to do too much with that, but just be annoying. Oh, this
No
might actually
way.
work. Jubei goes up the ramp, didn't realize they're there. They're going to get him with the slowdown, and this should be an easy first blood. Okay, maybe not as easy as I was hyping it up to be, but they still get it. Pingu gets the kill, TP's top, and Felt just a nifty little play. They're delaying their rotation that little bit.
Yeah, and maybe catching Jube again a little bit lazy there, but it's very well played. They pretty much use nothing. It's single concussive shot. I mean, that's perfect from your heroes. And Shinra was definitely getting pressured up top in the meantime, but having that inner fire, I mean, just trading out for every tag team, it's definitely a trade that the Huskar is losing, but at the same time, it's going to be a-okay with Pingu around.
Now, down bottom, this lane may not be super fun for Double King, because Afromoosh is just going to basically harass him 24/7 in this lane. If he can't hit the Medusa, then he's going to bully Jubei, but this is just a low-cost, high-efficiency hero in the Skywrath Mage, and I don't really think they have any sort of answer, unless the Cold Feet connects and Afro just refuses to move for a few seconds.
No, and it's very interesting seeing the Axe versus the Medusa lane play out because we don't usually see the Axe get picked up. But both of these heroes need creep waves to do damage. Double King needs to get the Mystic Stake bounces. Zoran needs the counter Helix. And once the creep waves are dead, you kind of run out of gas. But Jubei, that's an unfortunate death. Still 20 seconds on his TP as well. So really, there's nothing Double King can do.
Yeah, now Double King just needs to make sure he doesn't die. He's got some wand charges, so should be fine, but fine is not the way you wanted this lane to go if you're Mystery Machine. We talked about how important Double King and his farm was going to be, how important it would be to avoid that early pressure, and he's not the one who's died 2 times ET, but you look at his last hit count, sitting at 7 and 2, and he's getting harassed again.
Oh, he's got stick, but I think he might die. He just needs a few spins if they want to go under tower. Zora's being very patient, though, but this is also a good option. I mean, without the AA, this is no position to be in for Double King, and the full creep of under tower, I mean, it feels like they're going to go for this.
Look at Afro. You can just see it. He wants it so damn bad. Meanwhile, Tib able to finally find a kill the other way. As Mystery Machine get there first on the board, taking down Shinra, and, well, Pingu not quite as strong defensively as he would like to be right now, so the Huskar does go down, and Pingu may die as well. He's got the shield, but okay, they're not going to dive, especially with the Huskar now TPing back in.
Yeah, just not having enough mana, I think, on Shinra for the inner fire to trade up for that tag team. It's where, again, it's very efficient. It's only 5 less mana, but it's a lot more damage traded out. But back bottom,
Jubei again, yeah.
yeah, it's just rough. You can't really approach these waves, but Double King is constantly pushing it in. At least Jubei isn't taking XP. You know, Double King is getting everything solely, but at the same time, Zora is really getting up there deny-wise. It is getting really difficult for Double King to approach these waves.
It's not exactly the way that you were hoping that your support would avoid stealing experience, you know? Stacking, ganking, no, just dying. As Molly? Speaking of dying, oh, okay. Tib, good play in there, gets the shards onto 2, and, well, could have been a close call, but Molly Burgos will survive. He's going to salve back up. He should be fine, but this is always kind of something interesting with this duo in particular laning together, because you see Tib, he's just kind of playing in between. He's not in the lane itself, just sort of taking these jungle camps, and with the IO to back him up, he kind of can afford to do this.
Yeah, and I think they're both very aware of the only way that Pingu can really get Shinra XP safely under tower is if he does get that small camp pull off, and without it being blocked previously, just don't give him the option again, you know? Miss maybe 1 or 2 last hits in the lane, get the small camp blocked for the next minute, feel really satisfied with what's going on. Some nice denies from Shinra, though, and this lane does get much easier for the Huskar. He's got his Boots of Speed already. Once he gets the Helm of Iron, well, it will be very difficult. You're going to need the Storm to rotate over.
Speaking of the Storm, though, you take a look mid, Shaggy getting pushed back for the moment, but look at his last hit count, 34 and 4. He is 12 last hits ahead of Solji on the other side, and Solji is actually not going for that Sleight of Fist build. He's put 3 points up in the Flame Guard.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see him go for that. I think it is because he knows it's going to be a farm fest. He knows that's how the game is going to spell out a little bit, but
Oh, you got the root.
at the very least, oh my goodness.
Fairy Fire's coming out from both sides. Solji wants it, but he's not going to get it. Shaggy out-duels him just barely, but he'll find the kill. Meanwhile, back down bot, Jubei does get picked off again, but that kill mid is going to be far more valuable. We already talked about the Storm farming well. Now he's got a kill to his name, although this could be a bit of an issue. Double King trying to fall back underneath his own tower. Zora's coming in, doesn't have the mana for the taunt. Well, that makes this kind of awkward. They really can't go any further, and your Skywrath Mage doesn't have health or mana, so Double King lives. That's the good news, but this lane just gets harder and harder, as you said.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
man.
we are kind of at that point where you just send out that level 2 concussive shot. He's got a few null talismans as well. Afromush is just kind of getting to do whatever he wants. And at the same time, they pull the entire wave back. Now Double King can't really show, and if he does, it's going to be another run back to the tower. I think with Afromush leaving, maybe you get a little bit of that pressure alleviated, but at the same time, still not the most fun lane for him. And Zora's also just not skipping a beat, man. He's just hitting all these denies, just kind of outclassing the matchup right now.
13 denies on the board for Zor, 14 for Shinra up top, so they are trying to, establish control of the lane. As Zor actually clips the Dusa. If you had the Skywrath there, that definitely looked like a kill, but not able to do so. Meanwhile, Tim and Molly Burgos have kind of rotated their way over towards mid, and okay, there's the play. Shaggy's just going to take the stacked camps while your Tusk soaks up experience mid, and Double King gets picked off down bot. So I said if Afro was there, they could find that kill. He returns to lane, and they get it. So finally, the pressure in this bottom lane is applied to someone who isn't Jubei, and that's a big kill onto the Dusa.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate. This bottom lane is certainly starting to suffer, and at the same time, if you did want to rotate out this Medusa, and you kind of could, you want him to take over mid lane if anything, they're in this awkward situation where Double King can't go back bottom, Tibbs taken over mid because Shaggy's gone to the Huskar lane, because that's become too difficult for the Tusk, and now Shaggy's the one getting bullied, and oh...
Oof. They didn't get it. Can Shinra get away in the
Uh,
trees? Yes, he can. Now Molly. That's not quite a long enough tether. Yep. He's going to get taken down, and boy, their lanes are just an absolute mess now, ET. You mentioned all the movement that they were trying to do, but you lose two top. Now your Deuce is not super efficiently farming the jungle, so you're getting a little broken here early on. It's a 2k lead for Felt already.
Yeah, in top lane, beautifully baited. Pengu hiding in the nighttime trees, getting the very last second off Mistclo and a Photic Shield, but at the same time, it's a play made without a Storm Spirit rune, and he's going on Solji again. Does he get the kill? It's a little bit of a work for it, but he needs to hit at least another, yeah, one more overload in a regen bottom. And this is why the Storm Spirit, it's, you could die in one lane, you can get a solo kill in the other, you get a rune, and then suddenly this happens.
Almost immediate bounce back. He's got that triple null talisman build coming up, so, or not coming up, already there. So he's still kind of just ready to go. Really, whenever he wants us. He's now going to make his way into the jungle. If he could get the kill onto Shinra, this would be big. Shinra doesn't have any backup. And, well, he did get the disarm, but it's just not going to be enough. Back-to-back kills for Shaggy, trying to just sort of right the ship for himself, and this is going to be maybe a bit of a problem for the Huskar, because that's the way you like to play it, right? You're kind of low on HP, just minding your business in the jungle, but got a Storm with an IO battery sort of backing him up. He is going to be looking for you pretty consistently.
Yeah, it's also where when he does go, and there's actually a real okay bottom. Okay. Yeah, and Zor is super dead.
No way out here. He did, okay, he popped his wand charges, but that was not going to save him, so that's not quite a third kill for Shaggy, as Molly Burgos was the one to take it, and now, as they get pulled back, the supports are here, but there's not a whole lot that Afro Motion Pingu can do by themselves, so, give him points for the effort, I guess, but they don't really have the lockdown to make that happen.
Yeah, and this is where I do wonder, Shaggy just got his treads, do we see the immediate BKB, or do we see him greed out? Of course, versus the Axe, the BKB doesn't do a thing, but it almost feels like with that, if he does see that Axe ever use that call, he's got free range over the map. I feel like that's the smart choice, but we've definitely seen Shaggy go for the greedy Kaya in the past, but at the same time, I'm still looking at Double King just kind of sad. He's really kind of just doing the buy. He's
Could
working
be getting
it.
sadder here.
Yeah.
Solji. He's got to see him. Yep, they see him. Can they get the root? Yes, they can. There's going to be the Mystic Flare and the Silence. The slow comes out as well. They need a little bit more damage, but look at Molly Burgos getting in. Can he heal up enough? Yes, he can. Tier 2 tower helping out defensively as well, and now Shaggy zipping in. They're going to look to turn on to Solji. They got the snowball there. He's able to dodge out the first attempt, but not the second, as he gets thrown up in the air by the Walrus Punch, still trying to jump away, but he can't make it out. Solji down. Pingu actually wasn't even close to his ult there, so no escape for him, and Felt, they need tiniest little bit of extra damage to make that kill happen. They don't get it, though, and now, well, Mystery Machine have kind of just dug themselves out of this hole, and they're looking for even more. They're going to go after Zor. I'm not sure if they can get this kill with just Shaggy. He's taking a lot of damage in exchange, but slowly but surely, they're whittling him away. Zor's dropping low. He's going to pop a Fairy Fire. Aframoosh coming in, trying to help out. That should be the end of the aggression, at least from the Mystery Machine side, but Felt, they saw an opportunity. Jubei's just a little too slow here without his boots. Solji's gonna get a bit of a...
Yeah, it's unfortunate if Jubei has his Ice Blast, I think, in the pull. You probably take out the Axe instead, but hey, you know, you trade out. Chad gets to use pretty much all of his Arcane Rune, and I think, again, that's where the map is going to kind of lie here for both teams. If they give up that river control for just a few moments, and of course, they overshot to try and get the Medusa in that play from Felt, so they can't be looking everywhere, but it's those little things where you just kind of stop playing for a little bit, and then really, Mystery Machine, they can lose a lot of fights in this game. They can die a whole bunch of times, but they only need a few successes, and then suddenly their mid game is just immediately set up. And I mean, even though they don't get the kill on Zord bot, they get 3 TPs, and now your Medusa's farming some stacks. So it's never going to be out of the realm of possibility for them to just kind of work their game in their favor.
Yeah, as long as Double King is farming, you will always have a way back in, and Zor's going to get jumped in on. This
Oh,
time, they've got the Ice Blast. And Zor is 100% dead. Shaggy's going to snag the kill, and this Storm looking pretty damn good here. He started 0-1 and 1. He's now 4-1 and 3. So momentum is building, and he is actually switching up the build. He did have the BKB queued up initially, but now he's trying to grab himself a Witchblade ET.
yeah, it's the Revenant Brooch late game Ethereal Blade million damage combo that people are doing on Void Spirit. If you've ever watched Thompson stream, you know he's really labbing it up, but that item just feels absolutely ridiculous. This is like I want to say the Chinese Storm Spirits always bought the Witchblade first, but now that Revenant Brooch time's in the game, it's just kind of ridiculous. As
Uh,
Jubei, yeah, he
hmm.
lies in his bed for that one. You know, he'll eat that death, but look at Solji. Has to be very careful here if he lets this expire.
Ooh, okay, nice. Fast fingers there from your Ember Spirit as he's able to get away. So, Solji, yes, he did. He just finished off the Maelstrom. He's got the hammer coming out to him right now. So, a little bit of damage, a little bit of farming speed for this Ember Spirit, and that's going to be very, very important here for Felt, because the Huskar is not going to be able to do it by himself. The duo of Zor and Afro is not going to be able to do it by themselves. You really do need a full team effort for this one to take these fights.
Yeah, and that's where the lineup is a little bit split up here. They're looking for a real K bottom. They'd love to find anyone other than Pingu, but he's doing that Living Ward playstyle that so many 5 players in the NASA region love to do. But this is exactly where they're going to find the Huskar if they go a little bit deeper. He's going to be farming the Ancients. This is exactly the play they want. And they move past him.
Well,
Yep,
the Ice
there it
Blast is a
is.
little off the mark, though. They don't get the connection, but there's the relocate anyway, and Shinra, he's going to try and fight this one out, getting as much damage as he can before he dies. That might be enough. Let's see how many heroes they bring. Solji's going to get in first. They go on to Jubei. They know he doesn't have his ult, so that would be the far easier kill, especially considering the fact that the Storm now got relocated back top. So get the Jubei kill. They are trying to track down Tib here as well, but with the Ember no longer chasing, yeah, he's just going to be able to get away with the Snowball. Maybe not, though. Zor's coming in. He doesn't have his blink, though. But if he can get the right angle, or they could just do that. Okay, wow. Mystic Flare thrown out, and they just have the damage by themselves. Who needs Zor?
Yeah, unfortunately, Tip like turn around for the hot sec there, and then I think that ends up actually costing him its life. But he's also the only one who was probably going to die there alongside Jubei, just because they're the ones that TP bottom to make that play happen. But that's where you don't displace the Storm Spirit at all with that rotation, right? I think you're still pretty happy on MM.
Yeah, he just gets pulled back up to the north side jungle, continues to farm. Witchblade finished. Now he'll go for that BKB. So, a momentary detour on the item build, but it's an interesting one because Shaggy has not yet needed that BKB, right? So this could be a risk that really wasn't much of a risk at all. However, look at Zor. He is so tantalizingly close to that Blink Dagger, so Storm is going to have to be careful. If Zor just waits in the wings, gets off that taunt, then Belt will be able to throw quite literally everything that they have onto the Storm.
And that's where I really think felt every single item timing they hit, every single power spike, we need to see them go for it. Because if they get a nice clean 2-3 picks in the mid lane, that's mid tower. The next clean 2-3 picks, that's Roche. Every set of pickoffs should lead to something on the felt side. Where at the same time, Mystery Machine, they want to be passive. They want to get level 20 on Medusa. They want to get Manta Scotty, and then they want to show up to a fight. Felt really need to be the aggressors here, and I think that's where we really could see them kicking up to another notch. They've got a lot of these items. I think Shinra BKB is where they're really going to be at their peak, but this is certainly a free play. This is the Blink Smoke, but they do have to hit here. Unfortunately, I don't think they actually want to go for Double King. They'd love to hit pretty much anyone else. A Storm Spirit on the rune, maybe?
Ooh,
Oh,
Soldier tried. That had connected, that would have been big, but, well, not able to make it happen. Now that smoke timer is rapidly dwindling, and I don't think Mystery Machine are looking to push too far forward right now. They're going to play it safe, and, yeah, as of right now, it's looking like the correct call, but, okay. Your smoke gank didn't work. Your attempt mid didn't work, right? You still haven't revealed the Blink Dagger, though, ET, so this point, what's the play? Do they just try again, or is this something where they maybe just farm and push a little bit more?
Well, this DD, honestly, very nicely timed out for them. They get a lot of pressure on this mid tower, damage that otherwise wouldn't be there because Double King is the response to this aggression. But at the same time, I think MM might decide to give up this tower. It doesn't look like they're really set up. They need the Tux to actually be rotated in here. And I think unless he TPs in the next second, they're going to give this up and instead look for a pick-off play bottom. But again, in doing so, Felt need to continuously find these plays. Now it's going to be Roche. Now it's going to be whether or not they can really open up the map here. Double King has the Manta. He's going to be looking to split push you at the same time. And there is still the risk of the Tusk just playing on you, getting those early picks, getting those easy picks. I think right now, it is just two differing ideas of Dota. Felt are the cohesive team looking for the big team fight, and Mr. Machine are looking to pull you apart on the fringes.
Meanwhile, Shinra check got himself the Heaven's Halberd finished off, so he's got a little bit more to work with, both for himself and for potentially taking some of that damage away from whoever he goes up against. The question now is, what is the next play? You were talking about that sort of Shinra BKB potentially being a turning point for them. Is that what he just
Oh, they're
looks
gonna
for?
whiff.
Ooh. This is getting a little strange. Zor, though, with the blink, could still connect, but he needs the vision. And Afro, this might be a little bit too far. Yeah, he doesn't realize there's two in there. Jube, though, does still die to the Mystic Flare, and they are going to be able to get on the tip as well. No Snowball. Well, he really doesn't have any way out of here, and yeah, Zor able to get his first Culling Blade kill of the game, and now it's a little bit of funky business going on in the river. Shaggy was able to get the haste, but Zor comes in. The taunt didn't hit. Wow. Oh, Shaggy, that's impressive.
I don't even know. You know, you want to call it luck, you want to call it intuition, you want to call it him hearing the noise. I don't know. I don't know what you call that, to be honest, because that was an axe jumping in the night from the high ground. So, very well timed. Don't think there was going to be enough fall damage, regardless on if that did hit, but still looks pretty. But at the same time, Double King, two components away from the Scotty. Their moment to get an early Roche is kind of slipping through Felt's hands, I think, and that's where they really need to find pickoffs. But they're struggling so hard to play in this top area of the map because of that IO split push, and Shaggy really always has the escape plan, so it's not like they can just look for a free call on the Storm Spirit. That's a lot of time wasted. I do like they're there now, but
Ooh, Afro
unless Zor
pops.
gets both, it doesn't matter. He needs to get both. Otherwise, he just gets zipped away. He gets pulled back with a relocate. Molly Burgos.
Okay. Well, that's the far easier target to hit up. Yeah, as they're going to clean up both of the supports, then just got to let Shaggy go. But hey, that's good. That's still great, right? You got another Culling Blade kill, so that armor is starting to sort of become maybe a factor. But I think more important, the fact that you now disrupt this farming rhythm. Shaggy can certainly still work, but he doesn't have the IO for a few seconds to back him up.
And most importantly, because he can't stay in that top area, now they're moving into Felt Vision. Now things are getting scary, but
Oh,
mid, blink,
Tinch, yeah, showing off the dagger. That's going to be the issue kind of all game long here for the Ember, huh? He doesn't really have any durability there, so when they jump, I guess, unless, what, Pingu's just Johnny on the spot with an aphotic shield, then your Ember can get blown up pretty quickly.
and they're doing the same
Uh-oh.
play, and they're gonna go. Oh, they don't want to settle. They want Shinra. The
There's the
relocate.
relocate. And Snowball in. Walrus Punch there. Shinra dead. Pingu now stuck in no man's land, and there's his ult. He's going to look for a TP out, but really, no one had any of their cancels left. They used all of it, so, well, Pingu gets away, but you already lost Shinra, so that's not really the play that Felt were hoping for, but Mystery Machine no longer just sort of playing the passive game, right? Now they're on the offensive, and Felt, are they prepared to deal with this kind of aggression? They'll respond with aggression of their own. Getting in on a Jubei. Nice Ice Blast at point blank, but Sora still finds the kill.
Yeah, and honestly, with before, MM just finding that smoke into their enemy's vision. Speaking before about how they dislodge the storm from top, so then it gets ugly for them because they're walking on to Felt territory, but then they kind of drop the ball by not backing up their Huskar enough. It's odd. And it is also odd seeing Shaggy walk towards that top lane because Double King just farms it right in front of his face, you know, so You
Okay,
don't
they
want these
caught.
cores to be stepping on each other, but yeah.
Can actually
Tib.
get this though. Nice play from Molly. Okay, not enough healing there. Zor looking like the answer right now for Felt. I said Mystery Machine were starting to maybe feel a little bit more confident, get a bit more aggressive. But if the axe can break up that momentum, then it's going to be useful for Felt. The problem is if they halt the aggression from Mystery Machine ET, they just fall back to the original strat, which is have Double King farm. He's got the Scotty up now.
Yeah, and as long as Double King is farming, this is not your prosecuted Medusa. This is not your ancient spot for 80% of the game, and then you struggle to find that BKB timing. This is your Medusa with a full Scotty, looking at her butterfly, not dislodged from the Roche pit at all, so your Huskar never gets an Aegis, and I really can't emphasize enough. This is not a good matchup for the Huskar. The Huskar is going to struggle without that Aegis in his hands. At the same time, can you even go into the pit at this point? Double King is so farmed. He is so ready for that fight that unless they really get that picture perfect scenario, I don't think you're going to see that big movement coming in. Every minute, every death that isn't on that Medusa is just another struggle that Felt is going to have to deal with. And everyone is liable to die on Mr. Machine except for Double King. But as long as Double King doesn't die, that is always going to be their win condition.
5-man smoke out from Mystery Machine, so they're looking to do some damage here. A one-team fight here could just get them an open door into the pit. Meanwhile, I was asking earlier what the next item would be for Shinra, not the BKB. Instead, he will go for the Aghanim Scepter, so he now has the taunt on the life break, and depending on who he hits up, that could be big. Taunt him up, hit him with the halberd, I guess either during or after, really, and let's see what they can do. Solji, there we go. Solji was looking somewhere else for a moment, didn't realize he had run into Double King, and now they're going to make the jump in. Ice Blast coming through, going to connect on the two heroes. Zor, though, with the BKB active, is just trying to stand in the middle of this fight, but Shinra was the real target, and they can't protect him. Shinra falls. Now Zor's on the wrong side of the fight, on the back line. He wasn't able to pick anyone off, and this is just a disaster for Felt. Every part of that felt wrong from Felt. There was just that little bit of delay running in from Solji. Zor sort of, excuse me, Zor makes the right play, but he doesn't really have any backup afterwards, and the whole fight falls apart.
Yeah, and really, it's a compounding issue and something that you've seen whenever this IO is picked up pretty much all across the board. You cannot just jump the Dusa. You cannot just jump a single core hero. You have to find the IO, you have to find the Tusk, you have to find the backline, you have to do the simultaneous initiation, one that simply Feld's draft is not capable of, so all the pressure's on Zor. And then, I mean, he finds his man. He finds his way into the Medusa. They don't get to really burst him fast enough, and Double King did do a nice Manta dodge on the Huskar's taunt, but you simply can't just initiate like that. You need to get everyone. You need to get the backline and the front line at the same time. Unfortunately, that's where Mr. Machine, they kind of have this death ball that Felt really, I don't think, are very able to do with. I think we might see them start to adopt some kind of split push, because right now, unless Shaggy really just dies to a call in mid, and he could, but he's not gonna. He didn't hit him.
Zor did get the taunt off, but not onto the right heroes, and now he's just going to pay for this. Even with the BKB on, the physical damage is just going to be too much for him. As Zor gets picked off, now they're onto Pingu. There's going to be the snowball connecting onto the Abba, but, oh god, Shaggy, he wants a little bit more than just Pingu. He catches out Aframush, they'll pick him off as well. The Abba's going to try to TP away, but Walrus Punch there, Ice Blast in again, and Felt are just really losing their grip on all of these fights, and at this point, well, once this glyph wears off, Mystery Machine can really try to do some significant damage here in terms of taking control of the map.
And Tib,
Oh,
well,
found him. There's a zip in from Shaggy. They get the Vortex, they get the kill, and oh boy. Felt just looking like they're scrambling right now, and it's not really doing them much good.
yeah, and at this point, I'll be honest, I don't know what their draft really does to the MM heroes. I think Mr. Machine really kind of got their number here. I mean, the game only gets more difficult. Again, can't talk enough about how much that Aegis changes the game. I don't think Felt hit their really item timings when they needed to. They're kind of running out of damage here very, very quickly. At the same time, I don't know, maybe you question whether or not they should have let this IO through that late into the second phase, because I think this really has been the game changer. Molly Burgos is just making no one die. He just has a Holy Locket, he has a mech. Once he gets the Aeon Disc, I mean, then he really isn't going to die. It's not like we're going to see a Nullifier from any of the Felt heroes. And then we really do have a problem on our hands. An unstoppable death ball of this Medusa coming out onto you. And it doesn't even feel like they're that far behind. It's only a 3k net worth lead. The cores on Felt still feel and look great. but just the simple idea of that it's just one or two heroes that are simply better on Mystery Machine. I really think we're going to see them concede a lot of their map for some of these last-minute items.
Yeah, they don't really have much of a choice anymore. If they try to fight, then we've seen what the results have been from those last couple of engagements. So sacrifice space for time, see what they can do. But at this point, Mystery Machine are kind of knocking on the door. You see them grouped up for the high ground push, and Shaggy's, what, how long? 2 minutes still on that Aegis? So if anyone comes to defend this, then they could potentially just take the fight.
Yeah, and it's really not the slowest push either. He went for the Crystallis along the way. I mean, Silver Edge is how people break the game with this hero. Not to mention, if he does get that break on either the Huskar or the Axe, then, well, there goes your damage out the window. So once Tier 3 is gone as well, approaching, just simply walking up to the Medusa is going to be so much scarier. But at the same time, they do give up a lot of map by just playing in a single lane, so I do think they're going to fix their lanes in just a sec here. Double King Kazama gives Manta Illusions towards bottom, then Felt are entirely closed off. We're going to need to see them smoke in between, but it's where this deep vision from Mystery Machine, though. It's scouting the rotation so easily. Anybody that has been walking to this ancient camp, whether it's the Huskar, and then they smoke and try to kill him, or the Axe, they know exactly where they're playing. It's just a very, I think, easy game for Mystery Machine thus far.
Felt a little bit of good news there with Solji picking up an Aghanim Scepter, but that good news is counted out by some bad news, because Zor is gonna get jumped in on here. Can they actually kill him off in time? Yes, they can. Pingu wasn't actually able to get close enough to help out his teammate, so they find the pick, Shaggy gets the kill, and now, oh, with Zor dead, yeah, they can just afford to sort of push the high ground once again. You either get the tower or you force out a buyback.
Yeah, and it does suck a little bit to be forced into this position where you kind of just have to push through another tier 3, but at the same time, they can afford to do this. They're really just waiting for Shaggy to find another ideal jump, but even then, I don't think he needs to find a jump. I think without the Axe, they don't have enough damage. Really, Double King is just doing the DPS, and he's completely fine with Maliburgos healing it up, and he's got it 20 stick charges, a mechanism in the back pocket, another overcharge. They really are just kind of waiting on Halberd, honestly, to try and stop the push, but they're being very patient. They are respecting the Axe. They know if the Medusa's mana pool does get a little bit too low, they don't have the best means of replenishing it, but at the same time, it's going to be another free reset, and again, another rune. They could scout this regen bottom, and then your Storm Spirit has, yet again, another tool to use, and you know Shaggy's going to check for it, because he's got that mana regen from Aegis.
Aegis times out, replaces it with a regen rune, and, well, the overall situation has not changed. Felt still needs something. They're feeling a little desperate now as they push forward. Zor does get the taunt down onto the Ancient Apparition. They're going to drop the Mystic Flare as well. That's enough to take down Jube. They're going to get Tib there as well as Zor picks up the double. But is that enough? They need more. Yeah, look at that. Solji's going to try to make a move, getting in with the Remnants, upgraded thanks to the Aghanim Scepter. And they want to go on to Molly. Can they actually lock him down? Not quite yet. That's a long tether as well. And it might just be enough for Molly Burgos to get away, and oh, okay. That might have been a little... No, I was going to say risky, but they don't have any further lockdown.
Double chains on the Ogres. That is, let's call it low. Low chance of that happening.
But if you're Felt, okay. The pressure, for now at least, is off of your buildings. You were able to get a couple more kills onto Zor. The problem is, those kills did not feel like high-impact ones, right? Molly Burgos didn't go down, you didn't get the Dusa, you didn't get the Storm, so you have maybe a little bit more time, a little room to breathe, but they need to be able to hit those high-value targets next time.
Yeah, and really, they got exactly what they wanted. They got a double chain, they got a double silence, and then suddenly they get the 2 kills. Until Tip has his BKB, there is always going to be that threat of knocking the snowball off, and he gets killed because he is playing so close to Jube, because he wants to save everyone. Jube even picks up a Blink Dagger, because that's the name of the game. It is positioning. It's whether or not they jump you, or they jump the Medusa or your Storm Spirit, in which you're completely fine, because the name of the game is just saving your cores. But if they kill you instead, then you can still kind of throw this one, especially if Double King gets caught out by himself. That is your nightmare situation where the Dusa gets killed last overall. But at the same time, Solji, it's a very good reaction. But
good cover from Zor, okay. They're able to get in there onto Shaggy, but where's the damage? They just don't have it. Zor is going to get hit by the Walrus Punch. They're going to knock him back. They'll take him out. Afromoosh falls as well, and now Pingu, he's just kind of left here in the middle. Once his ult wears off, he's just taken down, and there's problems across the board with Felt's line of BT, but it really feels like Pingu just has not been able to do much here in terms of defensive capabilities.
It's just the scope of the fight gets too long. There's nothing that he's really purging off that is that game changer. You're gonna say he's gonna purge off the snowball stun. You know, the vortex and the walrus punches come out so quickly that it doesn't really end up mattering. Not to mention daytime, they get to smoke on a ward. I mean, it's a no-brainer from Mystery Machine, but I really do feel like they just kind of have this game. They're gonna go for the top racks. It still is very difficult for Felt to make that jump again. They don't have the stone gaze for another 40 seconds, so we could see them just use absolutely everything, use all of the remnants, use the buybacks. They need to leverage some other aspect of Dota right now, and I think that might just be using their buybacks and throwing everything against the wall and then hoping for a Roche respawn, because without that kind of luck, I really don't know what they do to bring it back here.
Feels like you need some sort of long shot home run kind of play, because if you just let it go on the way that it's been going, this is just going to be a slow and painful death. So, well, we'll see. The smokes out here from the supports, not currently, so might just be looking to push out a couple of creep waves before they try to do anything drastic, just so that, well, Mystery Machine can't just walk past their defenses once they go in.
Yeah, it's so rough though. They don't really have a great idea to set up either. You see Pingu placing wards bottom just because that's clearly where they're going to be next. That's their next tier 2, unless Roche becomes the next objective. And, well, Jubei's got to scout out everyone with his observer, but Jubei? Okay. Sleeping a little bit on the job
Oops.
there, but Shinra, oh,
They're able to find the kill. They can't get Solji as well, though, as he was able to... Nope, they can, because he still just ticks out. Jubei gets his revenge from the grave, and Pingu just gets picked off again, and there's the GG. Okay. They don't even really get an attempt at that final fight like we were talking about. They just lose too many heroes outside of the base, and they're forced to concede defeat.
I think they knew, though. I think they probably knew 20 minutes into this game that this game was not looking great for them. Just a few too many opportunities missed, just not having the best balance. I think early on, they played really well. But again, it's where you have very tight item timings. You need to get them extremely fast. Your opponents have level timings. They're okay with the slow pace of things. At the end of the day, even though Double King was certainly pressured up bottom and Jubei was not doing him really a service in lane, one death. He didn't die at all. They never found their opportunity onto that Medusa. They never really slowed him down specifically. And I think really the biggest issue in that mid game was just top lane. They could do nothing to the Storm Spirit. The IO allows the Storm Spirit to be so far out onto the map. He sets up with kills in the bottom lane with Tib. He goes back to farming. They get this creep pressure in 2 lanes. Felt really never get to make a play. Shinra gets an Ags and then dies pretty much immediately after. They just really didn't get to push, I think, what was their kind of foot in the door when it came to their draft advantage. So probably going to see a big shift up. I think this was simply, as we usually say in NA, just an outdraft, though.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about Belt having the advantage on paper, having won 4 of the 5 head-to-head matches between these two squads, but then you look at the actual draft, and they had their work cut out from them really from the start. So go in a different direction, maybe ban out some of those heroes. I'm not really sure which one, but any of them, the Storm, the Deuce, or the IO, any of it would make for some solid bans for them. So we'll see what adjustments Felt make, because they got to do something a little bit different here. So Mystery Machine able to take the first game of this best of 3. We'll now have to see if they can roll this momentum forward, get that 2-0 sweep, and lock down their spot in Phase 2, or if Felt will fight back and push this to a full 3-game series. So that Game 2 draft is going to be coming up in just a couple of minutes here, but until then, be stepping away. So stick around, and we'll be right back.